Imagine your worst day ever. You walk home after a long, hard day, and what welcomes you are sparkling eyes and wild joy. All your exhaustion seems to vanish. Why is it that a creature who cannot speak is the only one who makes you feel understood? We often call ourselves owners. But let's look back. Who is really taking care of whom? Amidst the busyness of modern life, the presence of a four-legged friend is no longer just about guarding the house or entertainment. They fill the gaps where human words sometimes become powerless. More than that, why are there people willing to see their pets as a part of their own flesh and blood? To understand, we need to decode the psychological code of those who choose to put their hearts in the hands of a creature of another species. The bond with a pet forms in a very special way. Waking up to the same rhythm, living in the same space, sharing very ordinary, repetitive moments. Over time, a pet enters your life as a true member of the family. Their owner's emotions are directly affected by the state of the animal living with them, and even a tiny change is enough to make them pay attention. Many people realize that the feelings they have for their pet go beyond the feelings they have for most of their outside relationships. In the psychology of attachment, familiarity is built from three main factors: time living together, consistent responsiveness, and a feeling of safety when being together. The relationship between humans and pets naturally meets all three of these factors. They live in the same space, share the same daily rhythm. They respond back and forth every day through actions, looks, body movements, and familiar habits. For those who see pets as family, this bond carries another layer of meaning. They experience the feeling of being next to a living soul that is always consistent in the way it is present. A pet's mood is shown directly through its behavior. When looking from this angle, the fact that many people put their relationship with their pet at the center becomes a very understandable result. That bond is built by time, responsibility, and regular presence. Over the years, it becomes a part of how they feel the world and feel themselves. We live in an era of too many words. Every day, you and I have to swim in an ocean of messages, meetings, promises, or subtle criticisms. Language, sometimes, is the very thing that separates people the most, because we often use it to make excuses or hide the truth. But look closely. The moment you close the door to the world and face your four-legged friend, all the pressure to speak suddenly disappears. Why is it that people who consider pets to be the soul of the home often have such a strangely quiet inner world? It is because they have found a frequency that matches without needing the help of a dictionary. Imagine the human soul is like a radio station that is always getting static from social noise. When you come home with a heavy heart, your dog or cat doesn't stand there to judge you or ask logical questions like, "Why did you fail?" or "What will you do next?" They are simply an anchor, a cold, wet nose against your hand, a steady breath by the side of the bed, or the way they quietly watch you from afar. Those are the purest emotional translations. In psychology, we call this nonverbal empathy. They learn how to read a soul through tiny vibrations of energy. Do you see yourself in that? The way you look into those eyes and feel like all your defensive masks are just falling off. There's no lying in a wagging tail and no calculation in a warm purr. Valuing a pet to the ultimate level is actually a civilized rebellion against faking it. We choose to connect with them because they remind us of our most original selves, the part of the soul that simply needs to be present and understood without needing any definition or title. It is not just being emotional. It is the courage to live truthfully with the most basic feelings between one life and another. There's a truth we sometimes hesitate to admit. Humans are conditional creatures. In the society out there, love often comes with invisible contracts. You are loved because you are successful, because you are useful, or because you meet a certain expectation. Because of that, our hearts are always in a defensive state. But when you walk through the door, the presence of a small creature suddenly turns this place into a harbor that never closes. In psychology, experts call this the secure attachment system. For people who cherish their pets, they aren't looking for a pet, they are looking for a constant. In a life where betrayal or change is a given, the absolute loyalty of a dog, or the quiet but steady presence of a cat, is a solid psychological anchor. Try to reflect on yourself. Have you ever found yourself taking care of them more carefully than you take care of yourself? You worry about every meal, pick out every toy meticulously, or quietly fix the blanket for them in the middle of the night. Deep inside those actions is a touching psychological ritual, projection. When you comfort a small creature, in reality, you are comforting your own inner child, the version of you that once felt lonely, that once craved protection without needing a reason. Seeing a pet as a child or a family member is not being over the top. It is a form of self-healing. We create a perfect world for them, full of forgiveness, because that is exactly the world we have always wished we could live in ourselves. This relationship is not one way. When you give unconditional care, our brain releases a large amount of oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and peace. It melts away stress and calms the storms in your heart that you sometimes can't handle alone. So this devotion is not a sign of weakness or loneliness. On the contrary, it shows you have an incredibly strong capacity to love, a kind of power that dares to put trust in another species to find the purest reflection of your own soul. There's a heartbreaking paradox that any of us accept. When we bring a small creature home, it is a contract with a predicted sadness. We know well that, by the laws of nature, their journey will end much sooner than ours. So why do you still choose to do it? Why are we so ready to give our heart to a creature whose departure is a certainty? The answer lies in the courage of pure compassion. People who see pets as a part of their life are those who choose to live fully for the now, instead of being afraid of the later. In psychology, this is a sign of a personality that can handle being vulnerable in exchange for higher spiritual values. You accept that time is limited to enjoy feelings that are limitless. Try looking from their perspective. Creatures whose world is just four walls or a small yard. To them, you aren't just an owner or a friend. You are the only definition of love and survival. In those sparkling eyes, you are a god, but one who doesn't judge, only protects. The greatest privilege of being human is perhaps not conquering the peaks out there, but being the entire world to another living thing. When you are meticulously preparing a meal or worrying when they won't eat, you are actually performing a sacred duty, the duty of nourishing life. This action reflects an expansive soul, going beyond the selfish ego to harmonize with another entity. Cherishing a pet, therefore, is the clearest proof of an emotional intelligence that has reached maturity. It is when you realize that love doesn't have to be returned with words of thanks or material value. Love sometimes is simply the act of daring to be present, daring to care, and letting another creature change the way you see the world. You aren't just raising them. They are silently raising the most human part of you. Have you ever wondered why someone is willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just to clone a dog that is gone? Or why there are more and more wills leaving an entire fortune to a creature that doesn't know how to spend money? Making a pet the center of the universe is not being blind. It is the way the most sensitive souls save themselves. They choose to believe in eyes that can't lie, rather than 10,000 words that can change. At that point, a pet is a reality anchor, helping them stay afloat in an ocean of doubt and loneliness. It is a tough choice. When trust between people becomes a luxury, we put all our emotional savings into another species, because only there is the honesty clean from hidden agendas or the change of time. In a complicated world where people betray each other and promises vanish overnight, a pet suddenly becomes the only entity holding the key to absolute loyalty. People often get it wrong, thinking that those who love pets too much are running away from society, using animals to fix what's missing in their human life. But really, what we are seeing is a very delicate process of soul transformation. When you have learned to love a creature that can't pay you back with material things and can't praise you with words, then the compassion inside you no longer has borders. Their interaction with society doesn't come from rigid social rules. It flows from a value system that has been sharpened through empathy. You will notice that these people often have eyes that see more. They see the sadness behind a coworker's fake smile or the tiredness in a stranger's walk, just like they feel the pain of a cat hiding in the dark. Their acts of helping others are not calculated choices, but a natural reflex of kindness. When the line between me and the world around me is blurred by love, they become silent messengers of kindness. They have an energy that we could call magnetic peace. Why do these people give off such a positive vibe? Because pets force us to live in the present. An animal doesn't live for tomorrow, and it doesn't regret yesterday. Being with them teaches us how to let go of distractions to truly be present. That pure presence creates a peaceful energy field, making everyone around them feel comforted and safe. The way they see life isn't a race to own things, but a flow of taking care of things. To them, every life, whether it's a plant, a stray dog, or a person who is lost, is part of a sacred web of life. They live like a gardener, patient, forgiving, and always believing in the power of healing. Loving a pet, in the end, is a great practice for them to love this world more gently and deeply. From seeing a pet as a child or a friend, you start to see the soul in every other living being. You no longer see a stray dog on the street. You see a friend who is missing a home. Psychology calls this the expansion of the circle of empathy. People who treasure their pets often have a heart without walls. Once they've felt the pure love of an animal, they can no longer ignore the pain of any species. Kindness at this point is no longer a choice. It becomes a biological reflex. That's why these people have such a humanitarian value system. They are the ones who will stop their car in the heat just to help a turtle across the road, or quietly donate to shelters without anyone knowing. Their kindness isn't about big slogans. It's about the ability to protect those who are weak. A person who has enough patience to comfort a creature that doesn't speak their language will definitely be someone who knows how to listen and be kind to other humans. Loving a pet is the first step toward becoming a messenger of life, someone who can heal the broken connection between humans and nature. So if tonight you walk home and see those eyes waiting at the door, understand that you're holding a privilege. In the journey of taking care of and healing them, you're also unknowingly taking care of and healing yourself. Thank you for choosing to be a kind person. Tonight, just enjoy that beautiful peace beside your four-legged friend. Because after all, happiness doesn't need to be complicated. It's just a steady breath nearby, reminding you you will never be alone.